game when they have the pass rush on him in Tennessee. He makes plays happen. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, regardless of whether or not San Francisco totally eats him alive. And even if they have a game plan to do so where they're going to emphasize the pass rush, I still think he's going to make something happen. He's the best quarterback in the league. I really don't think there's any arguing. I just really need to get that out there. If Kansas City's smart and their brass has, something working in the cranium, they're going to give him a 5-year extension now, and the dude better get like $40 million a season.
He'll get paid well. I mean,
he needs to.
I don't think you give $40 million for a quarterback with a salary cap.
I understand
Let's get smart about the economics.
I understand.
Lewis, remember we had this discussion several weeks ago when we had one of our first shows about the theory of quarterbacks. They were going towards a Bo Jackson-type athlete that can play quarterback. And that was Lamar Jackson. And I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. I'm a big Deshaun Watson fan. Okay? These guys are the closest man to Superman that you can. But I'm also from the Steve Young school of quarterback play. Yeah. And eventually you have to have your quarterback sit in that pocket. And he's got to fucking hum it.
Right.
And he's got to be accurate as fucking shit.
Right.
Because that's what wins. All right? So if I had a choice between Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, I'm going to take Mahomes because you're never out of it.
Yes, sir.
Because he has just enough ability to be like Lamar when he's back there. In fact, what you're going to see is you're going to see these defensive ends rush up the field and try to contain him. He's going to just drift back and drift back and drift back and throw off his back foot and still complete balls. And it's going to frustrate the living crap out of the 49ers.
Right.
What the 49ers got to do is run the football and play keep away.
Oh, yeah.
Play keep away. Okay, and score early, sort of what the Titans did to them. Okay, and because defense wins championships. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kansas City is playing well. Okay, but I don't think they're as smart as the 49ers. I don't think they can run the football as well. I think man for man, they're a better offensive team, but I think overall, the 49ers are the better team, but it's going to boil down to how well Garoppolo handles the pressure. Okay, but if you hand the ball off and he doesn't give any games away, which is so far he's done, all right, this is going to be a great football game. I don't think anybody's going to get blown out. I really don't. Mm-hmm. Because you've got a guy back there, Mahomes, who can make up for a lot of deficiencies. Okay, on an overall team. So this is going to be fun to watch. But, yeah, Lewis, I agree with you with what you're saying about Mahomes, no doubt.
I'll just end it with this, okay? I'm with you, Bill. If I had the choice between Mahomes and Jackson, I go Mahomes. And the reason why is a lot of these mobile quarterbacks are one hit away from getting knocked into tomorrow. And if I need any evidence, all I need to do is look at RG3, okay?
Michael Vick,
Randall Cunningham, and the beat goes on. I don't know how many of these guys last the shelf life that they're projected to be. But with that said, okay, Bill, thanks for being on the show tonight. We'll bring you back here on the Sports Exchange Thursday. You and I will have our regular show tomorrow. So, Bill, thanks a lot tonight, and you and I will talk tomorrow. All righty?
My pleasure. Have a great evening, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Bill.
Thanks for your time,
Always
Bill.
a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Go to your proclamations, elaborate on it a moment before we go further into broadcast. I'm with you a lot of ways, but when it comes to dealing with these mobile quarterbacks that are moving targets,
yeah, no, I agree with you because
they're just a bullseye waiting to happen. And with the way that the physical play is, one hit and they're done.
That's it. I mean, we saw when Vic even tried his hand playing with the Steelers near the end of his career, you can tell he's just not the same guy anymore. And sure, he spent a couple of years in prison for issues off the field and age caught up to him. But that doesn't age well. You see, Aaron Rodgers is 36 years old.
Hold on. Vic became a smarter quarterback when he was with Pittsburgh because he had time and he had good coaching there. Mm-hmm. His mobility was certainly more evident when he was with the Atlanta Falcons.
Mm-hmm. And the Eagles as well.
Right, and the Eagles. But, he became a lot smarter quarterback goes on, because a pocket guy is the way really to go. It just simply is.
Absolutely. And that's why guys, and I've said this, why Brady and Breeze have lasted so long is because that's where they make their money.
Right.
Rodgers and Mahomes are just a special breed of guys who have the ability to do both. You're never going to expect Drew Brees to break away the way that Rodgers and
but Rodgers
Mahomes
is
can.
a lot smarter than a lot of them because he picks his spots when to do it. He doesn't depend solely on the ground game. And that's where I wonder myself where Kyler Murray?
Kyler Murray with Arizona.
Murray. I kind of wonder about what will happen with him down the road. They want to get into that with Bill tonight because obviously we don't have enough time to do it anyways.
Right.
But you got Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. I'll be curious to see how their careers play out and hoping that either of those two guys are going to get their bell rung to a point where they're out a significant amount of time. And in those cases, you better have really two great backup quarterbacks as well.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of really, those guys really get tested when you have quality receivers around him, and all he has at this point is he has David Johnson in the backfield, and then he has Larry Fitzgerald who's coming back for another season. So that's really all he has to throw to.
Well, and if Arizona get together a decent running game, you want to take the pressure off Murray as much as you can. I don't think that Kyler Murray can sustain that pace over several years, let alone somebody his size.
Yeah, and he did have a good showing, though. If we want to, I mean, the last thing I'll say about him, he led the league in the amount of times he was sacked. He was sacked 47 times. So I think they know, though, because if you look at the overall numbers, he had a pretty good rookie year for somebody who the Oakland A's thought was going to play baseball for them, and he still wants to do that apparently. But anyway, they need to just upgrade the offensive line and see, like, you know what? We did pretty well with our number one overall pick in him. Is he a number one overall pick in regards to how he played? No, but he has that potential if you really shore up the O-line.
Oh, the upside, I got news for you, for Murray is just ridiculous. He'll be fine.
And he's done it, and you know what? He's handled it all very well. I think he was very cordial with the way that he ended things with Oakland, and I think, you know what? Arizona is glad to have them. I think they're lucky.
Let me tell you what, I hate to tell you this. You don't know how things could play out, but you never know. The A's could be in play way down the road.
He said today, actually, that he wants to do that. So I'd love to see it, but we're past the days of Brian Jordan, Deion Sanders, and all those
I don't know.
guys.
I think there's a story to be told there. I really, really do. So I don't know. That's just somehow, some way, there's a baseball chapter waiting to be written. When?
Who
I don't
knows?
know. It's anybody's guess.
But Mahomes, I think, like I made the notion about $40 million, and I don't think he's going to get that number. But at the same time, I really wouldn't be shocked because if you remember what was said at the outset of the season, and again, this team is, I think they'll do better under Mike McCarthy, but Dak Prescott came out and said, I want to be a $40 million a year quarterback. And obviously, with the season that they had, that didn't happen, and it wasn't merited. But Mahomes is the kind of guy who I think is deserving of that.
All right. With that said, I want to welcome to the Sports Exchange our hockey insider, but he won't be putting on the hockey gloves tonight, will he? His name is Mike Santos. Mike, thanks for being on the Sports Exchange, talking about a different sport.
Yeah, I thought. I'm excited to talk about a little MMA and in particular UFC tonight, especially after UFC 246 that I'm sure you were both tuned into this past weekend.
Yeah, all of 40 seconds worth.
Right.
No, I didn't spend the money on it, but boy, it didn't take a whole lot for me to
Super Bowl
understand who actually won that fight. So, it's neat too, because when we met on my birthday, actually a few weeks ago, I was really intrigued about the fact that you are a big MMA mixed martial arts guy, boxing as well as hockey. So anything with a glove, Michael Santos is associated with it. So,
yeah, well, I think as we spoke about, Scott, I grew up in Lowell, Massachusetts, the home of Mickey Ward. So anybody who's seen the movie The Fighter, Mark Wahlberg,
Great film.
knows a little bit about Lowell, Massachusetts, but it's what they call a fight town. So anybody that's willing to go one-on-one with anybody else, I'll watch it.
That's pretty funny. All right, well, I'll tell you what. So tell me, did you watch the famous 40 seconds on Saturday?
I sure did. And, I understand why people don't like the sport, but I'd like to tell some people why you should like the sport. First of all, I think from a pure science, if you will, and this isn't the sweet science of boxing, but the science of mixed martial arts. What's really interesting about UFC or mixed martial arts is the fact that you've got fighters from so many different disciplines. They may have a background in jiu-jitsu, they may have a background in judo, they may have a background in wrestling or boxing or striking. And because of that, it makes it very interesting. It's sort of like rock, paper, scissors, right? The person with the jiu-jitsu skills may have an advantage over the wrestler, but the wrestler might have an advantage over the striker or the boxer. And so you really never know what's going to happen. But what you do know is two people in an octagon, and the only way somebody's winning is typically either they give up, they get knocked out, or they have a decision handed with the judges. So that's what I find real interesting about the sport. It's been around for 20 plus years. For those who maybe remember or saw UFC 1, the sport's changed quite a bit. In UFC 1, which was held at the old McNichols Arena in Denver, they had 16 fighters from different disciplines, and there really were no rules. And it was interesting because everybody from sumo wrestlers to traditional wrestlers to boxers to judo specialists, you name it, were in the ring. And a guy by the name of Hoyt Gracie ended up winning it, who might have been the smallest guy of the 16, but because of his mixed martial arts background, was able to take down all comers. And this tournament took place in one day. And to win that tournament, you had to win 4 fights. And that's what happened, and that's how this started. But Dana White, who not only a great businessman, but maybe one of the best commissioners we have in sports today, has really done so much with the UFC over the years and turned it into what was a initial $2 million investment, and has turned it into a $5 billion business in 20 years. So there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to learn from what's happened with MMA over 20 plus years. And I, for one, believe that it won't be too long in the distant future that you'll see MMA in the Olympic Games. So what do you think of that?
Well, what I think is tonight we'll break our audience into the basic introduction, and then we'll bring you on and we'll give you more time to talk about that. My dealings with MMA are very slim, not as much. I did meet Chuck Liddell many years ago when the Super Bowl was here in Miami prior to the Colts and the Saints, and he was really, Chuck Liddell was a class act, and I'm proud to say I have a photo with him. So, Chuck Liddell certainly was one of the early names. The last time I spent money on a major pay-per-view event, my ex-wife bit my head off, just like Evander Holyfield got his ear bitten off by Mike Tyson, and I never spent $50 on another pay-per-view event there, and I won't say that led to a divorce later on, but boy, I got news for you. She let me have it. So I don't know if I could spend $50 for an event that doesn't figure to last 3 to 4 rounds, although I won't say the Tyson Holyfield. Now, in my defense, though, I was at the Tyson Holyfield match out in Las Vegas, so I certainly expected a lot more than I ended up getting instead of having my head bit off on my ex. But God rest her soul, God love her. But I've been really nervous to spend money on a pay-per-view event for obvious reasons. So,
well, pay-per-view, in any combat sport, is really the lifeblood of the sport.
Right.
It has been since the 80s, anyway.
Well, we both remember closed circuit TV, though, you and me.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, because the UFC, nobody wanted them, right? And they came up with a reality TV show called The Ultimate Fighter, and it was actually that reality TV show that really put them on the map when Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner fought on live TV in a finale that was still one of the greatest fights ever. And the winner was to get a UFC contract. They eventually both were awarded UFC contracts because the fight was so good, and that's what really led to